Hi, Next Level. Today I have my mentor, Dr. Stephen Crawford, here in the Next Level. Stephen, very welcome. How are you today? How you feel?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, we just had a great day with a great event, and just really being able to experience all the life-changing breakthroughs that we were able to see people have. It's just been fantastic. It's really feeling for the heart and soul to really see that.
Yeah. I just want to appreciate you as well, your presence and your story on the stage about, you know, people who are like in the mirror and people who are like in a broken mirror and then in the a broken like window. For me, it's window definitely. Do you want to touch a little bit on that? It's such a beautiful story. I was crying actually.
So I think, and I think this is really important. I think that most people, they live life and they believe they're living through stages, right? And so a stage is like infancy, adolescence, you know, childhood, you know, adulthood, when we get older, our senior life. So those are stages, but that's not typically where we live our lives. Those things are unchanging. Those things always will happen. We'll be young, we'll be older, and all those things. But what is fascinating is that what really defines our life is not the stages we go through, because all of us go through similar stages. What defines our life are the states that we see ourselves in and the states that we experience. And so one of the things that's unique is that some people believe that these stages are basically just linear, so time is linear. And if time is linear, then what happens is that we'll eventually grow out of this. But most people stay stuck in life because they don't realize that they're not in a stage that you grow in and out of. They're actually in a state that they're vacillating between different states that lock them in. And so the mirror state represents a state of a person who can't see themselves, can't see other people because they live within the context of themselves. So this is a person who is committed to their worldview, their way of seeing the world. They don't understand any other way of interpreting it. So if you do something, it's not because you did it, it's because you did it to me. Everything is to me. It's against me. It's either for me or to me. It does not, they don't experience life outside of themselves. So if you didn't call me, you were rejecting me. Or if you didn't follow up with me, it was what you did to me. And so they're victims. And these victims can be either seen as narcissists, where they're completely self-absorbed, or they can be seen as complete victims where self-pity is their drug of choice, where they literally just feel sorry for themselves. And if you don't feel sorry for them, if you don't worship them as a narcissist or you don't feel sorry for them, then they reject you and your worldview, and they can't, so they detach from anybody that they're connected to. Then you have the next phase, which is the broken mirror. These people are probably more dangerous because not only do they see themselves and live within the world that they live in, and they're caught and consumed by their own worldview, but now they weaponize their pain. And they take their pain and they create damage for other people. And so they take the pain and they cut people with it, and they literally feel justified. They still feel like they're a good person because they feel like the pain that they've experienced owes them, the world owes them. And so they do damage to other people, to hurt other people in the name of vindicating their own pain. And so these are what we call villains, and they're people who live in broken mirrors. And then you have the third phase, which is the broken window, which is where most people live their life. We've all experienced distortion, we've been hurt, we've been disrupted, and in that pain, we find ourselves living in a world where we find that we see the light, like I can help other people, we see where other people can be helped. Unfortunately, before we take the medicine that can be our antidote, we start trying to help other people as a distraction to our own pain. So if I can heal enough people, I'll be a good person, versus, no, let me become a good healed person before I try to go and heal the world. And it doesn't mean you don't take a step, because this is one thing that sometimes people get very confused about. You have to take a step, you have to move forward in order to, so healing, sometimes helping and healing others is a part of the process, but you don't ignore your own pain. You don't ignore, you do both. You help people and you heal yourself. And so the fourth phase, which is what Keegan would call a self-transforming mind, is really elevating to the plate where you can see things clearly. And it doesn't mean you don't have any pain, but what it means is that when you look to serve, You take ego out of the way. You take self out of the way. And your question is really, how can I serve? And what's powerful about that state is that what is obvious to you will show up no matter who you're serving. You take your own desires and goals for people. It's not your goals for people. Is you want to serve them for their best good. So one of our core questions within the Institute is, what do you want?
Yeah. What do you want, guys?
Because if you're trying to give them what you want, you're still living in a broken window. You're pushing your agenda on them. And the call is, no, don't push your agenda. How do you serve them? What's available for them right in this moment? And that becomes a powerful part of going through the 4 phases.
Yeah, this is so powerful. And you know, when you ask people what you want, the answer is always like, what, you know, they always go, oh, I don't want actually to do this or to be this. And it's so hard for them to come up, like, what do you, no, not asking what you don't want. What do you want? Blaney, Nimra, Chris, type it in. I'm sure guys you know what you want, but just for the out of curiosity, type it in the comments.
And I do think that is a challenge for a lot of people though, because because our focus and our obsession is what we don't want. We know what causes us pain, and you know, the human nervous system responds to pain a lot more potently than it does to pleasure. So pleasure is an identifier of what we want. Pain is what we don't want. And so that commitment, that spot, pushes us in a place where, because we're so aware of what we don't want, we magnetize or we draw those things to us, because we're pushing away what we do want by focusing on what we don't want. Because the mind doesn't understand contradiction. And so when you say, I don't want something, the thing that you don't want is the one thing that stays in your awareness, and in your field of awareness, you start to be drift to whatever you're focusing on. We know this with cars. You know, I have a 16-year-old daughter. I had to teach her how to drive. And one of the things that we learned as I'm teaching her to drive is she would keep going in and out. I said, no, focus on this outside line. When you focus on that line, it'll navigate the car. You don't have to worry about focusing on the car. When your mind subconsciously holds on to that line, you'll never swerve. And so how do you focus on that? And it was just like, it was something I forgot because I've been driving for so many years. It was like, oh my gosh, it's where you focus, where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Oh my gosh, that is an attention, like you just expand, like this is so true. And Steve, what do you want at this stage in life?
So here's the thing, I have to cheat a little bit because I have a category that says I want it all. And, and when you say I want it all, people say, well, get specific. So I want to live a life of impact where every day I feel fulfilled because I'm watching the impact of my life. I want to bring my kids with me. I have 2 children, and I want to be able to travel internationally with them where they can kind of see the world with me. So I was in Australia last month. I'm being in Rome right now. I want to be in a place where I'm taking them with me, short stints, because they can't miss too much school, but I want to be able to take them with me in order to be able to enjoy that. I want to live a life of abundance where I can not only experience life and pleasure at the highest levels, but I can also be in a position to give back in ways that I never saw possible with systems and people in poor communities that are dear to my heart. So that's what I want.
This is amazing, exactly. And by the way, can we talk just a little bit about neuroencoding? How, like for example, I'm just gonna touch a little bit about me. I would never ever thought that, Steven, I would interview you, like, oh my gosh. I was like, no way. And this is happening, which, like, you know, this is happening. This is the power of neuroencoding. Once you are uncoding yourself, you are like unstoppable. I discovered I want to be a speaker, and that's why you are my coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And would you like to touch a little bit the neuroencoding and uncoding yourself? Like,
no,
how is that
100%.
Yeah.
So we're all encoded, right?
Yeah.
When your nervous system, from the day your brainstem takes form and takes shape, you start being encoded. 8 days from conception, a little beat starts, a little heartbeat starts, and all of a sudden the rhythm begins that starts to encode your life. And so stress hormones, if you grow up in an environment where you have a mom that's stressed and worried and angry and hostile, all of those chemicals or neurochemicals are going into your body. If you're at peace and you hear sounds of laughter and joy within the home, music, all of a sudden that encodes you. And so it at some point you've been encoded, and within the first few years of life, you figure out what life means. I know that sounds strange, but typically by the time you're 2 or 3 years old, you've established a baseline for the way you interpret life. That is called your encoding. And so what neuroencoding is the process, but whatever results you get in life is a result of your code. So if you are living in poverty, if you live homelessly, if you live in a $10 billion house, no matter who you are or where you live, you're encoded to get that result.
Yeah.
So we don't look at the conditions of our lives to determine the why. The why is irrelevant. Why is an endless cycle question. We look at the results of our life to determine how our code is. And the only way you're ever going to change your results is to change your code. So if you get a person who becomes a multimillionaire and somehow they get swindled and taken all, give them a few years, they'll be back there. If you give a impoverished person $10 billion, just give them a few years. I promise, we're always going to we're going to find the level of our encoding. And so it's not about what you have. What you have is a result. What you have is based on what you do. What you do is based on who you are. And who you are is a result of your thinking and your feeling. How you think and you feel. So as you think, you feel it. As you feel, you do it. You do, you have. And so that's the process of neuroencoding. How to recondition your thought and feeling life to be consistent with your goals and dreams and desires are.
This is so beautiful, Steve. Steven, when you go on stage, do you still feel nerves?
I don't feel nerves, really. I literally... I have such excitement, and I've been doing this for so long. There's a passion I have that I want to serve. I have a frustration that I can never share everything that I want to share. I'm sitting here like, I literally got cut off the stage today. I mean, they pull me off every time. And it doesn't matter how long I get, how much time they give me, they're going to have to pull me off. Yeah. Why? Because I've got so much to share, and the hard work for me is limiting it and becoming more succinct with my communication, because I have so much in my heart that I want to share, because I want to make a difference in people's lives. And so I have really fixated on the impact, so much so that it's so much bigger than any type of nerves or fear that can infect me. And so it's really where we focus our energy and our time. So I would say absolutely, if you have a voice, if you have a message, you have a story, we need to get it out there. And how do you channel whatever seems like nerves? Because it's the same experience. How do you channel those nerves to direct it towards an impact of being able to change people's lives?
Yeah, and the beautiful thing what I love, Steven, about you are so good teaching us. But truly, like to me, I always afraid a little bit, Now I don't read it, but like being on stage. And the way you told us to reprogram our mind is there's a prep work. So when before going on the stage, or way before, you just imagine these people and sending so much love. Like literally, there's so much love coming out of you. There's a techniques in neuroencoding that we are studying how to do that. And this love, seriously, now every time I go live, I don't have nerves. I just feel exciting because I love you guys so much, and just this love, this powerful love that you are teaching, which is so powerful, because love and fear, they can't live together. Right.
And so, I truly believe that our limbic system, we have one emotional system, and I think fear and love are the same emotion on an opposite polarity. So they're polarities. So you have. So just like you have light and dark, they're the same thing. It's just a different polarity. So fear and love are just the opposite. And so I believe they're the only two true emotions. We only have two emotions. Everything is either a shade of love or a shade of fear. And they sometimes intersect with one another. When a mama bear gets afraid that her kid is going to, she gets very angry. Well, angry is a subset of fear, right?
Yeah.
And so that becomes, how do we build ourselves in a way in which we're activated in the realm of love and not in that of fear?
Beautiful. This is so beautiful. Guys, do you have any questions for Steven, for Dr. Steven? Steven, any final thoughts to the community? Yes. Final
Well,
messages.
we're always encouraging stay close to the fire. So stay close to my friend here, Ingrid. I'm telling you, she's on fire, and I'm telling you, stay close to her, and make sure that you're buying and you're listening, because she has an impact that she's going to make in the world, and she's already making it, but she's going to watch it continue to grow as she builds her strength, her confidence, and her awareness to make the impact that she's going to make. And I'm just excited to see it.
And Stephen, thank you so much for being my mentor. Can I give you a hug?
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
is amazing, yeah, and there's more to come, guys. So thank you so much for watching, and Stephen, thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye, guys, and comments in the questions in the comments. Okay, thank you so much.